Here are the 5 things that I'd focus on if I were starting sourdough from scratch, just the starter approach. That could have increased my oven spring by 49%. You'll see why following recipes or random advice actually held me back, and the core components that I'd use for better, more consistent results. So the starter is the foundation for everything else that follows. Crappy starter, crappy results, that simple. Now, when I started out, I was more worried about whether it was bubbly or, how many hours it took to peak and whether I was storing it in the fridge or not. None of that really matters. A starter can bubble, but it can still struggle to power the fermentation. The amount of time that it takes to peak, well, that really only matters for my schedule. It's no indicator of whether it's ready or not. And I had no idea if it was really peaking because I'd never truly seen it peak before. So if I was to go back in time, there's probably 3 things I'd really focus on. I'd ferment my starter between 22 and 26 degrees Celsius. I'd avoid using high extraction flours for feeding it, and I'd stick to good quality bread flour. I'd use a small inoculation, just 10% of starter, and I'd use that to build all of my other starters and my leavens. Most bakers don't really know if their starters are underperforming, and then they waste huge amounts of time trying to fix other things. Rehabbing a starter is the only way to know for sure, to make sure that it's bulletproof. Now, I've just done one of these in a live stream boot camp. I actually took a starter, a dead starter, and then I rehabbed it over 9 days. And you know what? I gained 49% in vertical spring between that first benchmark bake and the last, and I didn't change anything else. So if at any point I'm in any doubt about my starter, I rehab it. Fermentation is king. It trumps everything else. Oven spring, crumb and crust texture and flavour, they're all outputs of fermentation, and recipes are roadmaps showing how that baker achieves specific results with a given set of variables. Now, I'm going to go deeper into this shortly. Now, in the beginning, I couldn't work out why some recipes were bulk fermenting the dough to 50% and then other recipes to 100%. Some recipes, they suggested an ambient proof and others didn't. And what was best, cold retarding, or was I supposed to bake straight away? My issue was looking at each of these steps in isolation and thinking they bolted together. Once I figured out that this was an entire chain and it was influenced by the formula, the temperature, the starter, I understood that each step couldn't be decided before the bake. It needed to be this fluid process, adjusted depending on how those variables affected the fermentation. Now, this wasn't something that someone could just show me. It wasn't something that I could learn in a week. It was this thought pattern shift. And while the process was fluid, I actually found that using rigid tracking, writing things down, taking photos, documenting things, really helped me understand what was going on. It was that entire kind of mindset shift and rigorous tracking that helped me dial this fermentation process in. Thinking about it as a whole rather than a series of individual steps. Right, so let's expand on this recipe issue, because I spent way too long jumping from one recipe to another and learning absolutely nothing. And I could have solved most of my problems if I just avoided this. Recipes are just a blueprint. They tell you how one baker got from point A to point B and they achieved C. There is absolutely no guarantee this blueprint will work for everybody else. Recipes by nature are rigid, and as sourdough bakers, we need to be more fluid. And you don't need to look very far to find a comment on a recipe that says something like this: I followed this to the absolute letter, I did everything, and it didn't work. That's not the recipe's fault, it's not the creator's fault, and it's certainly not our fault, which means the system is kind of flawed. A recipe that I design around my flour, my climate, my starter, and my skill level can't possibly take into account your flour, climate, starter, or skill. And in the beginning, this is a really tough lesson to learn. So what would I do differently? I'd have learned the basics of baker's percentages right out of the gate. Just doing this would have taught me that relationship between all of the different ingredients that I was using, and it would have given me 3 distinct benefits. First, I could have created just a simple recipe that made a dough that was easy to handle, suited my climate and my skill. I'd have used that formula as kind of my training wheels, and I'd have learned how to adjust it, again, to suit my flour, my climate, and my skill. With that knowledge, I could have quickly assessed other people's recipes to see if they suited me before I baked. I wouldn't have wasted time, ingredients, or destroyed my confidence. And then from there, I would quickly have learned how to adjust recipes to suit me, or borrow ideas from other bakers. But if I had to pinpoint just one reason to learn bakers' percentages, it's this: so that I can adjust the hydration when it's needed. And trust me, it's needed a lot. In fact, it's one of the adjustments I make to nearly every recipe that I design or bake. The amount of water that works for me in terms of dough handling or the goal that I'm trying to achieve probably won't produce those same results for you. Again, the type of flour, the climate, and the skill of the baker all affect that optimum hydration for a recipe. I realise this now. Some of the recipes that I was actually trying to bake were 70% plus hydration. My dough was soup. Now, there really isn't a magic number for this. For every number that I try and give you, there'll be plenty of people saying that it isn't right. So, what would I do if I started over? I'd begin with 65%. I'd test bake it, then I'd dial it up or down from there. It's just a case of diving in with a plan. You know, learning how to build and tweak all of these recipes was an absolute revelation for me. It improved the way my dough handled, as well as the results, the oven spring, the crust, the crumb, the flavour, the texture. And I make sure all of these calculations are correct using my sourdough calculator. I even use it to track each bake, saving every one so that I can refer back to it and improve. So if I started sourdough over, I'd build a bulletproof starter. I would dial that fermentation chain in as a whole. I'd stop jumping around from one recipe to another. I'd actually learn bakers' percentages so I could tweak and document my own bakes. And I'd start with a manageable hydration. I'll catch you in the next one.